friends and fellow panelists. Thank you very much for having us. It was indeed a lovely presentation, and I think we must commend the work that is being done by organizations such as this to really create hope in a time of great desperation. And it's really encouraging to see the kind of work that is being done, at micro level, at very humble levels, work being done in a very innovative and hardworking manner. And I think we really need to appreciate it. And furthermore, appreciate the work that the Department of Higher Education and Training is doing, with this kind of conference, because it is really through this kind of engagements that we are really going to be able to move this country forward. And we are honored as the South African Chamber of Commerce and Industry to be part of this engagement. I think what I would like to engage on, and it's not necessarily my conference, I would like to have more engagement, obviously, from the attendees through the Q&A and the chat box. But I think what is coming out of the presentation, which is worthy of the reply of organizations such as ours, which are organized business, is that it is disheartening that we have this big divide between what we consider to be the economy and what is actually happening out there. Because we have tended as a country to pay too much attention on the big brands and the big businesses. And I think it came from the presentation that we are looking at the big names to be the big drivers. But we forget that actually most of the employment in South Africa and across the African continent, majority of it actually comes from small businesses, and some of it mostly from what we consider the informal economy. But in the informal economy, that is where the innovation is actually being cultivated, because some of it, obviously, out of the need to survive, it has bred a culture of innovation, and some of that innovation needs to be given the necessary platform so that it becomes the mainstream conversation. So the challenge that I think we need to note from this year's conference is, how do we continue to use the Department of Higher Education and Training with its important role in society, but also its influence in the corridors of power and in cabinet, to really use it as a department that is in the center of bringing together the stakeholders, not only just for conversations, but in the real sense to say, how is my organization, the South African Chamber of Commerce, connecting to organizations that are in the process of unlocking an entrepreneurial spirit, in creating a culture of self-dependence, in creating a culture of innovation and running your own economy, really. So that it is not just about the big numbers that are headline grabbing, but it's also about the men and women who are on a daily basis creating work for themselves, for their immediate communities, and how do we put that on the national level? Because organizations such as this one may not necessarily have the media buying power, so they will not necessarily have all the attention in the world. But the Department of Higher Education and Training, in its nature, is a national department that is able to command sufficient attention. And I think we need to have a concrete and a definite program on how do we take big business such as organizations that are led by ourselves, the South African Chamber of Commerce. We also have our own SMEs, but then how do we bring other SMEs into the play and link them to bigger businesses, so that if there's a challenge of market to the department and our organizations, we must be able to create a market for small enterprises and individuals who are coming out of universities, trying to create their own brand in the market. How do we bring them into the real economy, so to speak, through this kind of collaborations? Because if we're able to get together for a conversation, I definitely believe that we should be able to get together to do the real work. So it falls up on our hands, not just at the conversations, but we need to find a way of concretizing the partnerships between the department, organizations as ourselves, and organizations that are at grassroots, that are able to bring in entrepreneurship and innovation and the likes, because it is our work to create the market. Some of the solutions that we're actually looking for is not that they don't exist. They are just not being given the attention, because there are a lot of people on a daily basis who wake up in the morning and they try to solve society's problems. But we don't give them the necessary attention because we've got to a level where we think that the big brands from the big cities are going to solve the problem, and they will not, respectively so. And we need to be able to harness every single effort that is possible in our country and our continent to really find a way that everyone has a place under the sun, so that we're able to move forward together. And realistically, situations such as the COVID-19 and the dire situation that the public sector finds itself, is that we all know that it's no longer going to be the old career trajectory of going to school, getting a qualification, getting a job, working for 30 years and having a retirement. Life is no longer a straight line anymore. And we need to find better ways of being self-sustainable. We need to find a greater participation from the private sector. We need to find a great initiative from an entrepreneurial point of view. And government largely just has to create the platform and the environment to be able to have all private interests and private enterprises being able to thrive, so that we change the narrative. People need to access higher education, definitely, to be able to possess a skill that they have a desire in. And post tertiary education, we need to have be in a state of continuous learning, understanding the movements of the markets and industries, so that we do not think that after a 4-year degree, even all the way to a doctorate level, we think that once you have that, you are certain. There's no certainty anymore. And I think this year has been a shocker to many, and obviously a revealer of what we've always known, that our economy is very fragile. There is no certainty, and we need greater independence and self-reliance to make things happen. And largely, we can draw strengths from a lot of other economies, especially in the East. I mean, a classic example is the situation with South Korea and Singapore, countries that don't have much natural resources, but what they've realized that their greatest assets is its people. They've invested largely in the intellectual property of their people, the skills of their people, the competitiveness of their people. And once you have a competitive population, even not even the sky is the limit, because we are able to really get to the depth of or the heights of human potential and really make it happen. And in my last note, this week, obviously, we've seen what Elon Musk has been able to do, has pushed the envelope further. He's from South African upbringing. And the point of the matter is that when you invest in human potential, like how Elon Musk has been able to invest in himself, he's now reaping the benefits, because it's not about what's under the ground or what our potential is. It's about how do we invest in our people through skills, through market, through innovation and continuous collaboration that is really going to unlock the value. So the future of this country is not in a traditional career trajectory. It's about how are we able to get to the higher levels of human potential, and also using the platforms that we have, such as these ones in the market and the platforms of organized business, to really highlight the work that is being done at grassroots level, so that people can move from the garage, as it was mentioned, all the way to the stock exchange and even beyond. So I think I really welcome this initiative. But the point of the matter is that I think we really need to work productively and in a program, in a structured manner together, to make sure that there is no great divide between what is known as the real economy and what people are doing on a daily basis. I think we owe it to ourselves and we owe it to this generation to be committed to the work that we need to do as a people. So with those few remarks, I'm honored to be here, and I will rather not have all the talking. I would like us to have an engagement and see how organized business can support the work of career development and entrepreneurship and innovation in our country. Thank you, Chair.